I'm Max van Praag. This is Private Matters. Welcome to the show. The show is about authentically thriving in intimacy. I am talking to experts, doctors, authors, teachers, coaches, who all have something specific to offer to the domain of intimacy, relationships, marriage. And the intention of this show is to inspire and to empower people to live happier and healthier relationships and marriages. Today's show is about striptease. And we have Diane Greenberg. Hi Diane, welcome.
Thank you, Max.
Diane Greenberg teaches a class called The Sacred Art of the Striptease. And before we speak about it, let's take a look at the trailer of the movie, because you made a movie about your class, The Sacred Art of the Striptease.
Touches a very deep place for every woman I've seen do the work.
This is a form of movement and expression that I think every woman I've ever met, no matter who she was or how she felt before she came in, was more alive afterwards.
It's so fun. It's so fun, and it's so wonderful to have an audience, and it's so great to just have people looking at you and loving the way you move and loving the way you look, no matter how you thought you moved or how you looked.
What Diane brings to the work is an incredible nurturing and nourishing of who we are as individuals. She brings with it such a love not only of the dance and of the experience, but of each individual person that she connects with.
Wow, Diane, that seems like the class is about striptease as empowerment. When I watch that video and I see women of different ages talking about their experience in your class, it seems like it's about empowerment. Is that right?
Thank you. Yeah, I actually consider striptease as a metaphor. I mean, it's an opportunity to awaken, and the idea of unveiling or taking your clothes off is really not exactly what it's about. It's about becoming more aware of yourself and how beautiful you are. And what I believe is that every woman I've ever met has this inner show-off, this little girl inside her that just wants to dress up and play and put on makeup. And so this is kind of an excuse to show up and show off really for yourself. What I think of when I think of striptease or unveiling is that it is a bridge for our inner self, for our psyche, to cross over from something that's holding us back. And the more that we can awaken or believe in ourselves as beautiful and more sensual, more authentic, the more we can show up in the world for another, for a boardroom.
Sure, so it is about feeling good about yourself and self-empowerment. Now, just practically, so that everybody understands, this is a class 1 time, 2 times for a month. How is the class structured, just so people understand?
The structure that I've come up with is a 3-hour, 1-time class, and I can respond to any request. It could be a girls' night out. It could be an 1.5-hour segment of a bachelorette party. It could be a surprise inside. Yeah, so it can be structured really any way, but how I've done it in the past is a one-time 3-hour class that you could repeat over and over.
For women or men and women, co-ed, and also only men? Can you tell us what difference you experience in working with women or with men?
Well, I'd love to, and that's a lot of fun for me. It started out to be a women-only class, and then one of my friends in my community asked specifically, well, we want to have some fun. And so he became my partner, and with his help, we rallied a group of men together. And what I started to imagine was, what is the difference between, say, a male go-go boy and a woman erotic dancer? And I started to actually think of a study, like what's the study of the distinctions? And so I would present that to my group of men. What is it about moving as a man or a warrior? What might be intriguing if I was going to watch you that would make me weak in the knees? So I could kind of butch myself up, and I would dress up differently when I teach a man-only class, and we'd actually get feedback from each other. And I'd usually stage one other woman in the room, which was never a problem to gather another female for this class, just to give feedback and kind of see it as a study. And it was really, really very interesting.
It's interesting, you know, and I have known you for many years, and you've told me about your class so many times. And I've talked to so many people about your class. I have never taken it, and I have no desire to take it. But I so much admire you for teaching this class. I also know that many people associate striptease with something perverted or taboo or not okay. And I can be very precise about what I love about is that you give men, women permission to be slutty, to show themselves in these ways. Because women, from my experience in having many women friends and having mentored women also in their sexual awakening, women are often not comfortable with these parts. And even though they give them pleasure, they give them great pleasure, but they're often not comfortable. And for them to claim, oh, this is me, I can do striptease, I can take on all these different parts that are, so to speak, not okay, and feel empowered and choose that for their pleasure.
That's really important because when you say the word striptease, it often can really plug anyone in of any age and really any denomination. There's some kind of a mythical taboo. And so what I like to do before I start a class, first of all, I like to plug people in. I really think that that's
what do you
the
mean
beginning.
by that?
That you hear striptease and you go, oh, I could never do that. So I actually like
have a reaction.
I like to create a reaction
Yes.
for people that might have them go into their own process. And I may never meet that person. Like I met you and you say, I could never do that. But what is that voice that has someone say, I can't do that, or that's wrong? So I think that's the beginning of what I like to put out there in the world, is just to have somebody begin their own process of inquiry. And I know that for myself, I first experienced a woman stripping for me in a circle of women. It was kind of a group of women, and it was a transformational process. And this woman came in dressed up gorgeous in silks, and she even had this beautiful stage name that was somewhat sacred and spiritual, and I was in awe. And that told me I can do that, and I want to do that. And it wasn't about baring her breasts or opening her crotch or doing anything for me. It was really about this experience that she was in this adornment and adoring nature of her own inner female. And there's so many facades for the female. And at that point, she was a goddess and a priestess, and it was theater. And so I love to invite people, and how I start a class is to give everybody that responsibility that, first of all, they don't ever have to take off one stitch of clothing.
Right.
And secondly, if they do dance, it will only be for as long as they're wanting to. So I let women know that they get to decide where their yes is and where their no is.
Everything is a choice.
Everything is a
Yes.
choice, and they agree to that. So at that point, I get to let go of my concern for you that, oh, if you leave the room, that you're taking responsibility. I know that that's exactly what Max...
Does it happen? People walk out?
Well, I don't remember if it ever has, but what has happened is women choose to not dance. But what we learned, that their being in the room probably was a bigger range than me taking off all my clothes. So I can get
Sure.
in front of a group of strangers and take off my clothes, and for her to just be in that room probably took her further in those 3 hours than me taking my clothes off.
Sure.
So we never know who she is and where she's come. And I say she because mostly my classes are for women.
Yes.
But everybody has their own story and their own process. And we don't know if there's trauma in the room, but knowing what we know about percentages, probably there is trauma in the room.
Yes.
And so why I still do this after 18 years is because of men and women who've come up to me and say, your class changed my life.
Wow.
Now,
Your class changed my life.
I don't even know if I remember them when they were in my class, but when they say that, I realize...
And can you say more about that? What has it changed for them? What is some of the feedback?
That's great, because I do. I say, well, what do you mean by that? Because I would have no way of knowing. And just briefly, before I say that, that's why I produced the DVD, because of all those people that say, your class has changed my life. So I ask, what is that about for you? And for some people who have never been to a class, maybe they've been to, and we have these, we call them recitals, maybe an annual party where we do demonstrate some of our dancers, and it's just a really amazing and sexy celebration in a safe, one of our homes, and we do these shows. And what happens is people get to observe these girl next door perhaps, or their friends coming onto a stage and just putting on a whole nother persona. And by watching that, you actually get to witness, wow, they were so beautiful, or wow, maybe I can do that, or wow, I would like to do that, or my goodness, if I can do that in a room of strangers, I bet I can get up into a boardroom and speak with an inspiring and possibly change someone else's life. So that's what happens. Women will take this experience of standing up in a room of strangers, maybe just...
But is this your perspective, or is this what they've told you?
No, this is what I hear.
But what they hear, that it makes them more comfortable with themselves, with the different parts in any situation.
Yeah, and I'll share one other story for someone for whom getting up and dancing was absolutely impossible. And they asked the room, can I just stand up and show you a body part that I've never shown anyone? And this woman took off her shirt and just stood there and modeled this amazing, she had had breast cancer. She modeled the scars on her body, and everyone was completely silent, and there really wasn't a dry eye in the room, because we empathize so deeply with each other, and women for women. And one of the things that's instructed as the audience or the class in the room is that there's no side talking, and that whoever's on the stage, for example, or in the center of the room, that we put our full attention on that person for as long as they're in that space.
Yes.
So she had every woman's full attention, and I mean, like, that was amazing.
Yeah,
it was
that's
amazing.
Beautiful, wonderful. By the way, when you said earlier that I didn't take the class, it wasn't because I thought there was something wrong with it. It was because I love the fact that you're doing the class, but I see it, the striptease, as something feminine, an expression of the feminine, and I guess this is not a place where I felt called to go within myself.
I love that. And in men-only classes, it actually is a bit of a hex for men, whether they're bisexual or heterosexual. It's just not what men do for men. And so that's why I like to plant other feminines in the room, so that at least if you're not comfortable dancing for a man, or if you are comfortable for dancing for a man, whatever it is, there's an opportunity to just go inside or open your eyes and just be there with another female. But it is actually pretty amazing to do a men-only class or a co-ed class, because it's a study and there's a lot to learn theatrically.
Do men have more stuff to work through than women in this realm?
That's a personal,
But
private matter.
From your experience, from you being the teacher, does men have to overcome more to dance and take their clothes off than women in general, as a gender?
No, in general, there are no generals, really. I mean, what I would say, in this population of you and me, you would have more to go through than I would. In this population of a group of women, you just don't ever know. And that's why I never use any kind of authority to insist that anyone do anything beyond their level of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really personal, and that can change from day to day. I heard this quote once, which is how I got the name, The Sacred Art of the Striptease. And the quote was that when anyone shares their art, it is sacred. And I love that quote. It actually was a David Data quote. And so the idea of sharing any of your self-expression, that is sacred. And so what I like to ask of anyone in my class is that they go home and they practice posing in a mirror, and that as much as someone can be with themselves alone in a mirror, that actually can begin to transform your level of comfort.
Sure.
With yourself first, and then with others. And I always bring back that idea of it's with yourself first. When I touch myself first, then I'm more at home with letting you touch me. And so I really do think that it's so personal, and that it's always changing.
So how long have you been doing this class?
The class, really 18 years.
And was there a particular incident that was like a turning point where you decided that this was your life's work?
Yes, in fact, I had a little fun stripping professionally, and I was in my mid-30s and had short hair like this. So it wasn't about making a bundle of money, because usually the women with the long hair made the money and the younger women made the money. But what I got out of that was when women would come into a strip joint, I took the women on. I really got that this was a primarily male environment.
Yes.
So when women would come in, they'd usually come in together, and it would be like a girls' night out. So I would go over and sit with her or them and share with how to have the most fun. And I started to notice that what is different for women than a man in a strip joint is that women, you don't even know each other. You're like their best friends.
Yes.
And you're cheering and you're getting turned on together. And I noticed that women inspire women's turn on. And that was really juicy for me. And what I noticed about men, of course, what I noticed was that men were this like totally, singular unit. He was there was no guy next to him. it was about her and him. With women, it was about us and them. And so I took that on to really, to the level that if I was to enter women's circles and share this unveiling process, how we feel each other as women, whether we know you or not, we are you. And no matter who she is, her age, or her cultural beauty, every woman really does have a similar incident in their own psychology that I'm not right. That's what I've discovered. That no matter who she is or where she is, there's this element of my teeth aren't wide enough, my breasts aren't big enough.
Yeah, not good enough, yes.
My hair's the wrong color, my this, my that, I need to lose 5 pounds. And I insist that you are the present in this present moment. Right now, you're the gift. And whether we wrap you or unwrap you, that's irrelevant. It's that you're right now.
Are there professionals who come to your class? Professional dancers and strippers?
It's great. Your questions
who are still doing it?
Well, your questions are wonderful because it reminds me of these stories. And in one class, there was a young woman that came to my class, and her healing was that in the days that she stripped, she would leave her body to be on stage. And so she came to integrate these parts of herself in my class, because I keep you present. I keep you in your body and not leaving. And we watched her do that. We watched her go away and leave her body when she did her, I'll call it a performance, but it was just her turn to stand up and do what she did to the music that was chosen. And we got to talk to her about that and bring her back. And people allow me to coach them while they're dancing.
Sure.
Whether they listen or not is their choice.
Sure.
So yes, strippers have come to my class to integrate. And there have also been women who have hired me to choreograph some kind of a move to gift someone else with. Or if they're in a burlesque show, to help them to get more in their body in order for their performance. So there are professionals who have chosen to use me for whatever reason.
Would you say the class is about awakening or sensuous awakening, sexual awakening? Would you use that word?
Yes, absolutely, and also integrating. You know,
integrating, yes.
I believe
loving
that
all the different parts
of ourselves.
And not making the striptease, which also for many men is like this compartment that you don't talk about. It's maybe the striptease club is maybe a place where, as a man, you go when nobody knows, nobody watches, or you go there when it's very dark and late and nobody knows.
Right.
It's not something you talk about over coffee. Oh, by the way, I went to the striptease club. So it's this forbidden territory that you're making comfortable. I think it is so needed. I think so many people can benefit from you, and your class is still available. People can find you. There's a DVD that you sell.
That's right.
The website is The Sacred Art of the Striptease.
SacredStriptease.com.
SacredStriptease.com. And they can order the DVD, or they can.
And I wanted to add to what you were saying is that something that's very unusual about my class that I've heard from women who have purchased the DVD or have looked for the DVD, that this really isn't about flash. It's more about a meditation. It's actually speaking to kind of a normalness that each woman that I believe has responded to me has this inner interest of showing up, or she just wants a little push and she's ready to, for example, someone who came my way let me know that she was just kind of crossing a line into re-entering her sensual life. Whatever her trauma was, she took a break. So she came to me to help step her over the line and reacquaint her with that energy inside herself that knew turn on, and that knew there was this authentic movement that could inspire her. And so it really speaks to every woman, I believe. And it's different than someone that's going to go step out onto a dance floor, or someone that wants to go to be seductive for their lover.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
It's good for that too.
Yes, it's very good, and many couples could take that. We can do
That's
another
right.
show about that. You know, Diane, it's been wonderful, and I'm so glad that I know you and that I was able to bring you on the show today. Thank you very much for helping so many people and inspiring into sacred sensuality.
Thank you, Max.
And this was Private Matters, authentically thriving in intimacy. See you next time.
Quem mostrava esse caminho longe, quem mostrava esse caminho longe, esse caminho para Santo Tomé. Quem mostrava esse caminho longe, quem mostrava esse caminho longe, esse caminho para Santo Tomé.